were talking about line thicknesses and how to control those if you need to. Usually they are well defined in your in the default of the Revit. So based on the scale you pick, if it's the right scale, you should be able to see the right line thicknesses. But you could also control them over here. And there's an on and off button for it over there. I will show you guys more details on Monday, but usually the defaults are good. The way to check it is to if you have a drawing and if you have a scale set on it, and if this guy is turned on, you can see the different thicknesses. And if you change the scale, it will change with that. So again, if I zoom in to a 1:20 scale, you can see the exterior lines are thicker, the interiors are thinner, and that kind of thing. So the default should work well for you guys. You don't need to go in and change anything 99% of the time. But at 1%, when you need to change something, that's too detailed. I'll show you guys that later. Wall hatches. When you are in a section or on a plan, you can place some hatches on your walls. So either if they are actual hatches coming from the wall structure and wall type, that's one way, or you can just do it graphically and easily. The way to do it again is to select the walls and go under override graphics in view. So I can do it by elements just to change that wall, but in this case I want to do it by category. Then I would say, okay, my cut pattern, I want it to be this color, and I want it to be one of these patterns. Let's say that pattern. Apply. Okay, now you can see all my walls have that pattern. If I go back to a different scale and I zoom back, you can see, okay, this pattern is showing up. I could also do just a solid color poche. Just changing this to solid. Changing that color to red, maybe, just to make it more obvious. Now you have red color fills on all the walls on the building. Same thing for a section. So if you're in a section environment, I'm just going to turn on the shadow to make it to give it a bit more, a better definition. Then I can select my wall and say, okay, change the category, the cut pattern. I want it to be this time the blue color, and this. Say okay. Now it's hatching the walls, and it's a little bit different for your site. So I'm going to show you guys how to deal with the site. So when you have the site, there's a material defined for it. That's one thing, but there's also a cut material defined for it. So if you go under massing and site and you click on model site, it will open your site setting. So click on that arrow under massing and site. It will open the site setting, and then there are a series of settings that you can change for your topography, how things are showing up, and how you're working with your site. And then under there, you can say, okay, I want my section cut material to be earth. I want it to have a cut pattern that I can define here. So I'll just go down and it's like this, for example. And then I can define, okay, how deep I want my poche to go down. So this is minus 3,000, so it will go down for 3 meters only. And as you can see here, it's stopping over there. I can change it to a bigger number, and it will go down more. And it's important that it's a negative value, so it's going under. So make sure always you do a negative value here. So you have your site in place, you have your padding cut, building pad cut through the site, you have your section through this, you have defined the your cut patterns, you have defined your crop regions and the walls. You would add in your dimensions, the proper scale. You make sure you move your grids to where they belong, and add the dimensions you need, and then your section would look just like what it needs to be. Okay. Next thing that was mentioned in class was the scale. So scales are very important. They are used for certain reasons. either the drawing does not fit on your sheet, so you need to reduce the scale or scale it up to have the proper fit, or the detailing that you're showing is different, or there's a call out that you're doing and that kind of thing. So be aware of the scale you're using. That would affect your patterns, your line thicknesses, the details of the graphics, and everything you do. So I mentioned the families. Families are files sitting somewhere. You place them into your Revit file, and when you're editing your families, you're editing those files. And then the other thing is, the last thing I want to show, and you guys, and that's up to you if you want to use it or not, are the structures. So if you go under structure, you can place in columns and beams and that kind of thing, but you could also place in your foundation slabs. So you can do some wall slabs, or some individual footings, or independent footings. So that's where to address them. If you wanted to do some of these, that's where to find them and address. So that's where to find them.